petrol, gas, diesel, all different types of energy for our vehicles known as fuel. If you drive an automobile with a combustion engine, then this video is for you. With the rising cost of living, it's getting more and more expensive to get from point A to point B. I'll explain a key way that you can save when you're filling up your vehicle at the pump, as well as a way to make sure that you stay under budget each month for your fuel expenses. It's time for the monthly money saver. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Okay, so the main trick that some of you may know and some of you may not know is to find a cheap service station near you. Sounds very simple, right? In saying that, you want to pick a service station that's always generally very cheap, cheapest out of your area, always cheap. They may not have to be the cheapest, but as long as they're very cheap. Diddly 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 cheap, diddly diddly cheap, diddly diddly cheap. One way you can do this if you live in New South Wales is the Fuel Check app from the New South Wales government. You could open the app, choose your type of fuel, so like, E10, 91, 95, 98. It will show you all of the prices for every service station near you with that type of fuel and what the current rate that they're selling that fuel for is. There is also a tool called Petrol Spy Oz/NZ. It's a website as well as an app that will tell you what the current fuel prices are for whatever type of fuel that you've picked. So let's say I picked 91 and I'm in like Hornsby. You can see the cheapest one is a Metro that's $1.65 and 9 cents in Thornley. Same premise, you want to change to 98 and you're somewhere else in Sydney. Let's go around the Burwood area. Say you live kind of there. Your best bet would be to go to the Metro at $1.87 there, or the Metro there in Croydon Park for $1.89. Generally, Metro tends to be the cheapest. You can say what you will about the fuel, but I've been using it for years. My cars run fine, no issues. Let's say your car takes 50 litres of petrol. Let's say you have to put 98 in your vehicle. We'll touch on that later. You've got 3 or 4 service stations near you, petrol stations, whatever you want to call them. They range from $1.90 to $1.95 to $2, $2.20. The one closest to your house might be the one that's $2, which is in the middle. It's a pretty decent price, right? So you got 50 litres times $2. You can do the cents if you want. That's $100 to fill up your car. Sure. Let's say you fill it up once. Let's say you fill it up once a week. You drive to work every day. You drive to look the kids to soccer practice on the weekends, all that kind of stuff. Going for the $1.90 cheapest option doesn't seem like it makes that much of a difference. So we'll do the maths. You literally save $5 per fill up, and it's really not much. Over the course of the year, 5 times 52, save $260 a year. It's not really like a big difference, not really worth it. But let's say you don't really care where you fill up, and the one that's closest to you is the one that you always happen to just fill up because you're not really good at fuel management, and that's the $2.21. Let's say your car takes 100 litres. So now we're talking about, so if we're paying $2.20 and you're filling up 100 litres in your car, it's $220 to fill up. Now you gotta have a pretty big car to fill up 100 litres, maybe like a 4-wheel drive with a sub tank, all this kinds of stuff. Probably gonna fill it up maybe once every fortnight instead, but $220 per fortnight, 26 fortnights in a year, costs you 5.7k a year. Alright, now if we go for that $1.90 option, so it's $190 to fill up, so 26, you're saving $780 a year, which is pretty reasonable by just going maybe an extra 2 minutes down the street to a cheaper service station. That's also assuming a 30 cents difference per litre in price. Sometimes the gap is quite larger than that. So by making sure that you pick the cheapest fuel station, it's a no-brainer, you're gonna save money. You probably already knew that one, but I have 2 other main things to discuss today. So another thing that can affect your fuel economy is your car and parts of your car. Low tire pressure, for example, can increase rolling resistance and therefore use more fuel to move your car from here to there. Dirty air filters can also affect how well your car breathes. The way that combustion vehicles work is petrol and air are mixed together in a certain ratio. They move pistons, and that's what propels your car forward. So when you're kind of messing up that air ratio, you might end up putting more fuel, and you're kind of running rich, as they would call it. Whereas running lean would be too much air and enough fuel. By running rich, you're just burning excess fuel for no real benefit. Spark plugs are another item that can affect your fuel economy. The spark plug creates the spark that causes the combustion in the cylinder that moves the pistons, that does some other stuff that moves your car forward. So basically, you get a poor spark. Same premise as the air filters, you might be using more fuel than is actually necessary. So by making sure that you get your spark plugs changed, whatever service interval it is in your owner's manual, this can be a way that you can save fuel. By making sure that you change your spark plugs every time it's necessary, you're ensuring a great combustion in your cylinders and therefore optimal fuel economy. Okay, so I've got another trick that I use to make sure I stay under budget every time I fill up my car, and that's to change fuel type. Now, disclaimer here, not everyone may be able to do this. You may need to put certain types of fuel in your car. You need to know what your car can and cannot take. If you're thinking about putting the wrong type of fuel, let's say you're putting diesel into a petrol car, then you're being a moron. Same premise as if your car needs 98 or 95 higher and you're putting E10 in it, you're probably going to do more harm to your car than what's worth the like $5 to $10 per tank or whatever amount it is. All right, now that that's out of the way, I'll give you my specific example. So my car's rated for 95 octane or higher. This is due to the fact that it's a turbocharged vehicle. Higher octane fuel contains anti-knock properties, and this comes down to relevance with the compression ratio in the engine. Smaller motors with turbos generally need this higher octane anti-knock property fuel, whereas naturally aspirated cars, so just a normal car without a turbo, they generally run okay with 91, some even on E10, especially nowadays. Anything made in the past probably like 10-15 years. I generally notice that my car is more responsive when I put 98 versus 95 though, and I get a bit better fuel economy. There's obviously a bit more of a price that's attached to that, but I find that it's worth it. However, sometimes fuel is just exorbitantly expensive that day that I decide to fill up. I always make sure I go to a cheap service station that's near me. I've been doing that for years and saved heaps of money. But let's say I've still gone to that cheap service station and fuel's expensive. So for me, expensive is anything more than $2 per litre of 98. Generally costs me about $100 per tank. I want to fill up as much as I can for that $100 so I don't have to keep coming back more regularly than I need to. So what I'll do is I'll drop down to the 95 fuel rather than the 98 for that specific day. That generally puts me under that $2 mark where I'm able to still chuck $100 in and get almost a full tank for the price. Rather than filling up the 98 at the higher price, still spending the $100, which is the budget, but then getting maybe 80% of my tank versus 100%. One to note is that fuel prices do change daily, so it may even be worth it for you to just wait a day or two, sometimes a few days, if that's possible. You shouldn't always fill up when your car's running on extremely empty. This is where you would want to use a tool to help you find out what the price is rather than having to drive to the service station and then find out, oh, okay, it's actually expensive today. I'm just going to go home and then, come back tomorrow and drive back to the service station tomorrow. There you have it. There's multiple ways you can make sure that you save on your fuel bill every month. If you want to keep more money in your pocket for everyday expenses, please subscribe to the channel, as I do one monthly money saver video every month. Go figure. You can check out the other videos in the playlist here. Hope this helps you up your life.